Hey guys, Becky here with Design Bundles, and I'm super excited to have you join me today because we have a really awesome tutorial for you. Today we are making our own Easter Bunny tray with adhesive vinyl. Hey guys, so here we are in Silhouette Studio, but of course the sizing technique and also cutting the file can be used in any type of software. So if you're using a Cricut or Brother Scan and Cut, these are going to be the same principles, okay? But what I have here is this really cute Easter Bunny tray, and I absolutely could not resist, so I scored a serving tray from one of my local general stores. And what I'm going to do is teach you how to size it and add your name and create one for yourself just using regular vinyl. So the first thing that I'm going to do, I measured my tray, and the inside of my tray, I'm just going to draw a rectangle, and then I'm going to size the inside of my tray. It is going to be 11 inches wide. No, I'm just kidding. 14.5 inches wide and 11 inches high. Now this is the inside dimension of my tray. So what I want to do is bring my design over and then size it down to fit inside this rectangle, not just to the limits, because you don't want your design going all the way to the edge, but you want to size it down so that it looks good, okay? So I personally feel like that's a pretty good size. Also remember that when you're working with this design, the closer to the sides you get, I don't want to say you're going to have problems, but it'll feel a little bit more awkward trying to get those pieces in place. You'll see what I mean whenever we do this. So after I'm done sizing, guys, I can delete that rectangle. That's all that rectangle was for. And then I'm going to go ahead and cut this without a mat. So I'm going to change that right here, cutting mat to none. Let's add the text, okay? So we're going to say, love Madison. Super cute, right? And I happen to know that the font for Dear Easter Bunny is going to be one of my favorites, the Moonchild script. All right, so if I want, I can line that up, go ahead and put it here. Let's weld this together. I'm going to fill it in black so that it matches. Now, it doesn't have to match. That doesn't actually affect any part of the process other than just checking it out. Also, you don't have to use the same font. If you want to use something different, that's a-okay too. All right, so group that together. Now let's rotate it. There we go. I'm going to bring it down a little bit, and I'm going to align it in the center. That part doesn't really matter, guys. If you're super frugal with your crafting and your vinyl supplies, then feel free to push this off to the side. That's a-okay. And what I want to do is I want to turn on my cut border, and then I'm going to increase the height of my design, or the height of my custom material, until it incorporates my entire design. So I know that in order to fit my design within my cut area, I need a piece of adhesive vinyl that is at least 14.875 inches tall. Now, I could probably get away with 14.5. I'm not going to skimp on that part. I'm going to go ahead and cut, because I have a roll, I'm going to go ahead and cut a piece that is going to be 12 by 15, and then I will insert this into my Cameo to cut. I'm going to click over to the send panel because I am going to cut this out of glossy vinyl. So we'll scroll down. There we go. And you also want to make sure, for whatever reason, sometimes my designs will default to cut edge. I don't want that. So make sure it is set to just regular cut. And that's when you get these nice, bold, thick lines, okay? Now, also keep in mind that some of these thinner lines you're going to have a little patience for. And that's okay, because this design is a good size. We're not trying to cut it super small. But if you have any problems with cutting and weeding these smaller designs, then I would recommend trying out heat transfer vinyl, because it's going to weed better and you can still use heat transfer vinyl on wood. So, but for this, I'm going to use adhesive vinyl. So I'm going to run over to my machine, load it, cut it. If you need to, make sure you do that test cut. You don't want to waste material. But then guys, we will go ahead and apply this to our tray. All right, guys, so what we have here, this is the tray. Now I scored this from Walmart. It's just a basic serving tray. I think it was about $15, but I'll be honest with you, there are a lot of different places you can find these, and I'm sure that you can find them to be more cost effective. This is painter's tape. You can use pretty much any kind of tape, but try to make it painter's tape or maybe a masking tape. That way it's easy to release. I have some medium tack transfer tape. And then this is my design that we set up in Silhouette Studio, and I did cut on the Cameo, but of course you can complete this design in any type of software that you have. Now, one thing that I'm going to do, remember we talked about the small text? I'm going to actually lay this adhesive side up off to the side. That way I can examine my design here and make sure I'm not missing any pieces. Because if I am missing pieces, then I will be able to come back to my scrap piece over here and fish them out. So let's just take a look real quick. So I am missing my T, 2 T's in thirsty and an apostrophe for your, which makes sense because this is the smallest text in the design. But I can fish these T's off of the vinyl and just put them back in place. That way they're ready for whenever I get my transfer tape on here. Now, I will also say on designs like this, I do not stress too much about the eyes that the dots on the eyes, but I am definitely missing on drink and if, and thirsty here too. And it looks like I do have them in place on the larger design. So it'll be completely up to you. If given a choice, I actually remove those. If it's a design that I'm setting up myself, I will either go ahead and connect them, remove them, or I will just choose a font where I use all uppercase letters. Or if that's something that you really need to have, then you can actually go ahead and have your machine as part of all this extra vinyl that we used. You can go ahead and plant some extra dots. That way you would have them. Okay, so I think that we're good here. I think that we got everything weeded out, which is, let's be honest, over half the headache. So let's go ahead and get rid of our waste here. And the other thing I'm going to do is go ahead and apply the transfer tape. Now, I do have 2 pieces here that I'll use. So I find it super easy to apply transfer tape just by picking one side. Go ahead and smooth it down, and it will pretty much apply itself. So let's get this part smoothed down. And because it was just a little bit short, we're going to take this other piece. And this is common when you're cutting designs that are larger than 12 inches, but you just have 12-inch sheets of transfer tape. So if you have transfer tape that's on a roll, that's okay. Then you can just cut your piece large enough to accommodate. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is I am going to trim. I don't want to say as close as I can, but I definitely want to trim close enough so that this will fit comfortably inside of my tray. Because remember, we sized it to fit not all the way to the edge. And that's where the painter's tape or the masking tape will come into play. Because what I can do is go ahead and position this where I want it, tack it down with the masking tape, and then slowly remove the transfer tape and the backing. So keep your scissors handy. Let's go ahead and put our tray front and center and position your design wherever you think it should be. Now just try to make sure it's as centered as possible. I'm going to use 2 pieces. I'm just going to cut it in half, and I'm going to tape one side here, and then what we can do is go ahead and pull up part of the design. Make sure you get it all, very important. Take your scissors and then smooth this part back down. Now it doesn't matter how much of the design you put down over here, just as long as it's enough to hold in place. And this is why I recommended painter's tape or masking tape, because it does not damage the tray when you peel it off. Now, if you were doing several of these, then you can actually hang on to that tape and use it over and over. But now that our design is in place, you can actually flip it over and start pulling off the backing here. And as long as you hold it with one hand, then you can take your squeegee, or I just like to use the side of my hand or my fingertips and just smooth it down as the backing comes off. And it just makes it really, really easy to stay in place. And then you just don't have to worry as much about your alignment. It seems that anytime I try to do it by just pulling it off the backing and sticking it in place, it either sticks down before I intend it to, or I get it crooked, or I get a crease in it, and it's really like doing it this way. Now, if you notice, I have an E that's left over here. That's okay if that happens. And I'm glad that we are going over some of these common obstacles to using this type of transfer tape, because it is a medium tack. So you do have to make sure that you burnish it well. But we use the medium tack because it is less likely to pull up our design. Vinyl doesn't always like to stick to wood, so sometimes it can be a little bit of a pain. Now, I want you to watch the way that I pull this off. I'm actually just rolling the transfer tape back, and I'm pulling it at an angle, okay? It seems to be better than pulling it straight head on, whether it's letters or text. And then, of course, if you have any areas like these thin lines of this egg that are trying to come up, you can just hold those down as you go along. Smaller and thinner designs will give you more of a problem than larger designs, because you have to think of it this way: there's less adhesive on those thin pieces of vinyl, okay? Smaller pieces mean smaller amounts of stickiness to hold it down in place. But as long as you're rolling it, and like I said, try to do it at an angle, then I promise that will help tremendously. Now, if this is a project that you just really have a hard time with, then another really good tip I can share with you is you can actually do the same project with heat transfer vinyl. And that means that you would just iron it down or heat it down into place. Obviously, you're not going to do that with a heat press, okay, unless you're using a flat tray. But it's really easy to use either an iron or a Cricut Easy Press to really get down. And all you need is enough heat to tack it in place, because this isn't something that you're going to run through the washing machine. Okay, you see how these smaller letters over here are the ones that we're going to have the problem with? That's okay. Just try to fold it back. Try to keep from pulling up, and just let your other hand help to guide those little pieces of vinyl to stay down. Now, once the vinyl is adhered in place, you can run over it with a blow dryer and a tennis ball if you want, just to give you a little bit more security. But if you allow about 72 hours for this vinyl to cure, then you really should not have any problems using it in the future. Now, of course, when I say using it, I do mean to say that this is not food safe. So while it's really fun and neat to have this for the kids, just make sure that you're not actually using any type of vinyl on surfaces that you intend on using for food. All right, so just double check it, smooth it down where needed. These little ones that gave us problems, make sure they're smoothed down. And I want to grab this E right here, and I'll just place it by hand here and treat. All right, guys, there we go. And what I really love about this tray, although it's a little bit more awkward to get down in here, what I like about it is it's actually much sturdier than the Santa tray that we did, because it has the handles. And that will allow you to get more interactive with the younger kids and let them participate more in being able to carry or move or just set this up in general. So you need to leave your treats, you need to leave your carrots, and of course, leave a nice drink for your local Easter bunny. So guys, how did you feel about our awesome Easter bunny tray? Now, naturally, I really love it. I think it's a really cute and relatively easy project. Guys, if you are in a crafty business, these I can only imagine would be a really great seller. And they're really easy to personalize, and they're really fun to make. And obviously, I could just gush about them forever, but I think these seasonal trays are really, really fun. There's so many ways that you can do them. Now guys, if you have any questions about anything that we've done today, please make sure you leave that down below. I love to hear from you guys. And of course, make sure you subscribe to the channel, share with a crafty friend, maybe give it a like or a thumbs up, because that helps us to keep bringing you these video ideas and inspiration and tutorials. So I'm going to wrap it up today, guys, but I do appreciate you, and we'll see you again next time.